What's up, guys? Hey, it's Joe and Samuel from the Chiss Ascendancy, and this is actually a little bonus material. So we've got some news. Now, when we say news, we don't mean for sure news. We mean
we're rumor mongering.
Yeah, we are for sure. Just don't believe really pretty much anything that we're about to say.
Being what the fathers would call a muckrake.
But it's interesting, and that's what life is all about keeping it interesting. As you can see, I'm a little bit shadowed over here. It's gloomy on Exegol today, overcast as usual. But this news is coming on Mind of Things. Oh my God. This news on Mind of Things is coming from actually Yahoo. I guess that's why I was more okay with talking about it, because I was like, well, these guys are talking about it.
Yeah, I saw the same article or like the same stuff like a week ago perhaps, and I remember like looking at the source and being like,
Yeah, me too. And then I looked it up and I was like, well, Yahoo's saying something. Why not look into it?
I don't know. Yahoo's just kind of,
they're just peddling, which is what we're doing. But here's the thing, all right? So it says Star Wars, which is, what we're about, to be quote unquote reset. They're going to reset the franchise by nullifying the sequel trilogy. And so it's just a rumor. And here's what gives me the heebie-jeebies about this being true at all. But it originated from, listen to this guy's YouTube username. This is my first time hearing about this guy. Don't kill me, I'm just a messenger, okay? News coming from, okay, I'm like 2 years old. From, I can't even read it. News coming from,
oh wait.
I'm sorry. I'm so mature. News coming from Doomcock Overlord DVD YouTube channel.
I like where it switches into DVD. Like he's like,
yeah.
What I'm about, this is my format.
And it says it is reported by Cosmic Book News. Now, it says that he claims that the last three movies, 2015's The Force Awakens, 2017's The Last Jedi, and 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, will be nullified by creating a Star Wars multiverse that will isolate them from George Lucas' original trilogy and the prequel trilogy that comprised 6 movies from 1977, starting with A New Hope, formerly known just as Star Wars, until 2005, which saw the release of Revenge of the Sith. It says, by doing so, the events from the sequel trilogy will be removed from canon and isolated in their own alternate timeline and regarded as Elseworlds-like installment under the label of Star Wars Legends. This can be done using a concept made canon via Star Wars Rebels animated series. And so I actually watched the guy's video, and he's got like a funny helmet on, and he keeps talking about the Doomcock Army. But he says, I received confirmation from 2 additional sources claiming that this is spot on, that indeed Lucasfilm realizes that they have a massive problem on their hands, that Star Wars franchise is all but dead. And despite the Kathleen Kennedy's hatred of this idea, Lucasfilm is preparing to render the sequel trilogy null and void. The proof of this can be seen in last year's movie, he claims. In the scene where Rey confronts her dark side, there are mirrors in the background. This allegedly is a glimpse into the Veil of the Force, which is the area that Ezra and Ahsoka are in when they're in the world between worlds. It's called the Veil of the Force. Now it says, why should he be believed? He has to have some credibility, having revealed Skywalker spoilers and spilled the beans on various problems at the Marvel Studios with Brie Larson and her MCU character Captain Marvel before the studio. So his news came out before the studio replaced their director and writing team for the Captain Marvel spinoff movie. And so here's the thing. One of the things that smells stinkawith to me over all this is the idea that they were already playing with this concept before The Rise of Skywalker even came out. Does that make sense? Oh my God, look, I'm turning into Palpatine. Dang it. I thought it would take over half my
Here's the
face.
thing that I think it's stupid, because if they try to isolate this, right, this is they've missed their chance to include Leia. So if they do
Right.
this is an alternate timeline, and if they're wanting to rebuild it, the only way they would do that would be by reestablishing what we had in canon as the stuff that kind of takes place in the Heir to Empire series. You know what I mean? Like, if they're trying to go for absolute redemption, that's the only way I see it happening.
Well, the thing is also, even if Carrie was alive, I guess they just have to CGI all the characters younger, because the Heir to the Empire takes five years after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
So to me, it kind of stinks. Not stinks like I don't like it, but stinks just kind of smells false, because they let J.J. Abrams, write and direct Rise of Skywalker, and if they didn't believe in what he was doing, I just don't see like the thing that actually looks the most unbelievable about this whole thing is the fact that they went ahead and put the cookie in there of the idea of there's mirrors when you see Dark Ray, and those are other versions of reality.
But we saw mirrors in The Last Jedi. We saw that concept already, and it had nothing to do with the world between worlds. It was just
Right.
vision.
Right. So I don't put much weight in it, but either we're joking around about it now, probably not really happening, but if it does pan out, you heard it here, probably not first, but somewhere down the line you heard it here. But very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I
just don't see a world where they're going to do that. What would they do? Like, Carrie Fisher's passed away.
Right. Well, and I've got other...
Like, Harrison Ford doesn't want to do Star Wars again.
I've got other bones to pick. Like, why would they start the whole High Republic series? Like, they're already moving on to a new era of Star Wars. So why regress by trying to start over in 7 through 9?
Right.
The world between worlds doesn't really strike me as a multiverse concept. It's more of a, like,
can you see what's happening in the one universe?
It's more like this is where all timelines intersect. You know? Like there's a TV show on Netflix. It's called The Order. They have like this room is called the collective unconscious. It's where like the past, present, and future all coexist at the same time. That's more along the lines of what we're talking about, I think, when we talk about the world between worlds.
Yeah, and I think that the world between worlds isn't a multiverse. I think that maybe you could go into the world between worlds and stop things from happening in the actual universe, but really it only ever affects one timeline, which is the canon timeline that we're living in within right now. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And it would make sense to me that if there was a multiverse, because we're talking about, at this point, like millions of universes, which for me also, I'm frustrated because that moves on from the concept of focusing on the Star Wars galaxy into the universe, which is much bigger. That would frustrate me because we've already got our plate so full. But if we
I don't like the idea of Star Wars being like, hey, you know what was kind of cool that made sense that pleased everybody? Marvel having multiple universes.
Yeah. Well, and that was like a concept before Disney even bought Marvel as well. Like that's been
right. And that's what I'm saying is like Star Wars is Star Wars. It needs to stay within its own boundaries.
Right. And it like even if the world between worlds was a multiverse thing, it doesn't make sense to me that you would have like multiple pools into the same one world. You know what I mean? Like. If you had all these galaxies to think about, who would put like two entrances to the same one?
Right, to be like, no, don't forget, here's The Last Jedi, and right down the way, you can actually see The Last Jedi as well. Yeah. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But
I think the Rise of Skywalker mirror thing is a stretch, because that's just how Force visions work. You know what I mean? You get a glimpse of the possible future.
Right.
We've talked about that a billion times, how the future's ever in motion. There's no one set stream, you know what I mean? So you can glimpse into multiple futures.
Yeah, I would be more interested if they talked about if there was some kind of a book or comic or, I don't know, small short snippet of something that talked about that was a world between worlds that Palpatine had established, and that's why it was on the second Death Star. Something like that would be cool. But I don't see it being like, you don't think Palpatine, because that's, you got to remember, this is on the second Death Star. So you don't think Palpatine would have multiple universes and he'd just be sitting, hanging out? Right. He'd be in somewhere, you know? Yeah. But we had to talk about it because it's news, and we wanted to get our voices out there and our thoughts out there.
I think it's malarkey.
Bullcorn. So here you had it. There's really nothing else to say. Keep tuning in every Monday to the Chiss Ascendancy. We'll see you guys next time.
If you have thoughts, go ahead and share them with us. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, as you were.
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to do my tagline because I feel like that's when they didn't say I have a bad feeling in like Rogue One. So.
Right, don't waste it.
I'm going to leave it off. All right.
See ya.